Rex, stay focused. When you get in the car, put your phone out of reach and silence all.
I was on the phone again.
Oh, yeah, good one. Take the pledge not to.
All right, so yes, I got 8 patent cuts.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Yeah, 8. Yeah, 8 paint cuts, and then we're going to have 3 guests on site, so don't worry about it.
5 seconds.
Last year. As we invite you to do,
I don't know, talk.
Every corner. The ancient mounds of Poverty Point, World.
I can barely.
Yep, Jimmy John's pretty good.
Everybody wants to hear me.
Hey, we're doing all we turn.
Down.
You're all pieces of shit. Hey.
Turn Clyde off.
Actually, man, it's our mints that are all
you're
natural.
here with draft royalty.
It's all natural. Let's
Cladico, we're damn.
real fresh,
Jesus Christ.
Oh my God.
Language. Here we go.
Dunc and Over on a Friday, April 27th. Larry Holder, Jeff Dunc, and Clyde Redan here at the TPC Louisiana Zurich Classic of New Orleans. Wednesday, we're at the 19th hole. Thursday, we were at the Acme tent. And today, we are at the Champions Club right along the fairway of the 18th hole. I think we're seeing our first grouping come through here because they teed off at 10, and so the first group was going to be coming in here and playing their 9th hole. But, of course, so much to talk about. We're at the Champions Club. My goodness, this is the end-all, be-all of the facilities here if you're looking for food, beverages here at Zurich Classic. Of course, it's the Fidelity Bank Champions Club. Look, they've got Arno's, Galatoire's, Dickie Brennan's Tableau, PJ's Coffee, NOLA, Drago's, Mr. B's Bistro, Jamba Juice, Rufino's. This is where it's at. And Jeff walks up and says, man, I kind of like the view here. All right, good.
Ground zero.
Yeah,
We could say this
exactly.
is the place to be on the course. I mean, there are a bunch of great spots. We've been at a bunch of them. But the view here on 18, leave this place. They'd have to kick me out. It'd be a barnacle.
That you would certainly be a barnacle or maybe a parasite, maybe.
Butterfly.
A parasite that sucks the life out of everything else
Well,
around.
of course, I opened that one up for Clyde.
Yeah, naturally.
Just
Cladico
yes,
over here.
the old
We will
Clyde.
now refer to Clyde as Cladico from now on.
Yeah, don't do that.
No, that's just his musical group, the Cladicos. Anyway, great, beautiful day. No rain this morning like yesterday morning, but it's gorgeous. Of course, get on out here. The crowds, I'm sure, will be a little thicker today. People are taking off work on a Friday.
Supposed to be big, Larry.
I've already seen friends of mine who are here walking around. They got here before I even got here. So, look, get on out here. Of course, awesome weekend for sports. Should we recap maybe the NFL draft? Maybe a little bit.
At some
Maybe.
point in the show, we'll get to it, I guess. Maybe like in the second hour at the very end.
Yeah, maybe if we have time for it.
Yeah, because I think there's going to be some interest in it, I believe. Some people will be interested.
Just a touch. The Saints move up to go get Marcus Davenport, the pass rusher from Texas San Antonio. Bold move, and one that someone on this set boldly proclaimed around 2:30 p.m. yesterday.
Man,
so much
back
so.
slapping over here.
So much so.
You hurt yourself? Slapping yourself on the back?
No,
Yeah.
when you're good, you're good. When you're great,
hurt
you're
yourself.
great.
Yeah,
and when you can peg the pick, peg the team they're trading for with that pick 6.5 hours before it happens, I think it deserves a back pat.
Okay, I'm going to ruin this now.
That would be
Larry,
me.
you called it.
That would be
Larry,
me.
Larry, you are so astute and so on the money. You read all the tea leaves correctly. Clearly, you just are the best at what you do. And obviously, we don't know how we do this without you. So thank you so much for graciously giving us the manna, which was the pick that happened last night in the NFL draft.
Clyde, here's your $5
Thank
for
you, I
your
Needed to do something bold if they were going to try to get up and get somebody Marcus Davenport's caliber. They had they weren't going to let luck come in to get one. You got to go high. And look, he like Marshawn Lattimore. That's not going to happen. But he's got the ability down the road to be that kind of special playmaker that they've lacked in the defensive line for a number of years.
Absolutely. And you're going to hear from Sean Payton in his post-draft press conference. Of course, it came up earlier than what people thought. And I asked him specifically about the widespread speculation about a quarterback, and he shot that down, which I knew he would. Basically, I just wanted him to say it in his own words because we have been widely against knowing that they were not going to go quarterback. We knew it. Groupthink. We've been talking about groupthink all week, the tight end, quarterback, Lamar Jackson. That was the talk, and no, that was not going to be the case. And we've been trying, hopefully successfully, to talk sense into our listeners and our readers at NOLA.com. And they went and got their guy. And make no mistake, this was their guy. Would they have liked Bradley Chubb? No doubt. The price was going to be certainly too high. The fact that he slipped from 4 to 5 was even a surprise. And, of course, the surprise of the draft, Baker Mayfield. So, but look, as far as Marcus Davenport, Sean Payton had no qualms about admitting he's got some raw talent, and they need to fix some things. And you'll hear his thoughts on this. But, look, Jeff, you thought it was a home run, the fact that they went for it. And I would agree that it's a pick that the fact that they were aggressive, they went and targeted the position that everyone has been clamoring for years as far as in the draft. I mean, just think last year. Pick 1 goes by, no pass rusher. 32 goes by, no pass rusher. The Marcus Williams pick, the Alvin Kamara pick, the Alex Anzalone pick. You don't get to a pass rusher until Trey Hendrickson, and he's not your prototypical pass rusher that you were thinking about here with the Saints. And they went out and got it. And I will say this, when I put out my theory, I'm going to put that in quotes, my theory about moving up, taking Marcus Davenport, Green Bay would be around the pick where they would do it at 14. The reaction was mixed, and then once they actually pulled the trigger and made it happen, the reaction on my social media feed was, "This is great! Oh, I knew it all along!" You know, that everyone's tune changed when they actually landed Davenport, and they had to get on board because they kind of feared the raw tag that he had.
Yeah, there is a little of that out there, but I think you have to put your faith in the Saints personnel department, their coaching staff. They obviously have a lot of faith in Ryan Nielsen, the defensive line coach. Just look at the difference he made in David Onyemata in 1 year. They feel like he can do the same thing with Marcus Davenport. And look, a year ago, I wanted the Saints to trade up at the end of the first round because there were a lot of pass rushers that were going off the board in the 20s. And specifically, the guy I wish they would have traded up for was Tack McKinley. But they did the exact same strategy this year. They knew those guys weren't going to fall to them at 27, so they went up and got them. And that's what I'm getting at is you reward people that make bold, aggressive moves. Marcus Davenport might not work out. I mean, it's very possible that he's nothing more than just a rotational player. You just don't know. And it'll look bad down the road that they traded for 2 first-round picks, but that's not the point. The point is they were aggressive and went for a guy that they thought could be a difference maker, and you have to reward, I think, bold moves like that. You can't sit back in this league. It's too competitive, especially with what we've seen this offseason. Larry Clyde, I mean, a number of peers, the Packers making moves to try and get help. And the Saints have kind of sat back. They needed to make a move, I think, in this instance, and I give them credit for doing it.
Absolutely. No doubt about that. And when you look at the need, it's a need. They were bold to go get the need, and we were thinking possibly that Harold Landry might be a guy they would look at. He fell out of the first round. There's probably some injury concerns there, and so they targeted a guy. They went out and got him, and you could question the player at some point, but you can't question the strategy. They targeted a guy, and it wasn't just then. They targeted the guy. Sean Payton even said maybe a week. Maybe it's been 2 weeks that we targeted a guy and we were going to trade up for him, and they did exactly that.
This was a guy that they went to the building yesterday knowing they were going to trade up for.
Yes.
Knowing they were going to at least try to, and they thought they were going to be successful. But it had to be the right spot. But he said they started trying to make calls to trade up for Davenport around 8 or 9. So that's all the way up in the top 10. That's how aggressive they were being. Probably didn't like the asking price. Probably didn't find enough potential trade suitors. But it just shows you how much they like Davenport. He mentioned a couple other guys. Tremaine Edmonds they liked. I can't remember if he said any more than him. But there were other guys they liked. I don't think they liked him as much as Davenport. And I don't think they would have traded up to the same level maybe to get Edmonds.
Exactly. So, all right, let's take a quick break right here on the show. When we get back, we will talk Fidelity Bank Champions Club. We're here at the TPC Louisiana Zurich Classic, and a familiar face in the food world may jump on. You ever heard of Drago's? I'm pretty sure you have. So we'll talk about some delicious oysters with Tommy from Drago's here. So come on back. Sports 1280, NOLA.com, the iHeartRadio app. Dunc and Holder.
Josh and his show listener.
John Shinnis, mornings 6 to 10 on Sports 1280.
There are lots of reasons you love your deck. Staining it is probably not one of them. Choose a stain that will last for years and provide enduring beauty. Timeless stain from PPG only at the Home Depot from $44.97 a gallon. When it goes on and on, year after year, protecting your deck from everything Mother Nature can throw at it. It's been a secret waiting a while for years. Now you can get in on it. Timeless stain from PPG starting at $44.97 a gallon. Exclusively at the Home Depot. More saving, more doing.
The 4 for $4 from Wendy's has a lot of fans because it's a deal that gives you a sandwich plus 4 nuggets, a small fry, and drink, all for just $4. But now the 4 for $4 has more variety than ever with 8 sandwich choices.
I'm loyal to the double stack. I'm Junior Bacon Cheeseburger through and through.
I pledge myself to the crispy chicken sandwich. I'm loyal to my hunger.
Whether you're loyal to one sandwich or all 8, the Wendy's 4 for $4 has a sandwich for you. So try them all and pick your favorite. Now that's deliciously different.
At participating Wendy's for a limited time. Offer not valid
If you own a gun for protection, you need legal defense for self-defense. U.S. Law Shield is now in Louisiana. If you must defend yourself, you have the nation's largest network of independent program attorneys passionate about your self-defense rights, ready to defend you. And you'll pay zero attorney's fees for covered events. USLawShield.com has no caps or tiers. Everyone gets the best coverage in the nation for $10.95 a month. Go to USLawShield.com and read radio offers. Go to USLawShield.com. That's USLawShield.com.
Like 2:30, I know, total wrong.
Free
I said it was my theory.
playlists are here, and the critics are raving. John in Nashville says,
Whoa, 80s playlists? Even new wave? This is huge.
Izzy 906 on Reddit says,
iHeart's got all these playlists from the 50s to now, and I'm like totally the only one who knows about them.
not anymore. iHeartRadio's free playlists. Want 70s funk? There's a playlist for that. Try it now. All your favorite music, all your favorite stations, all free.
Do we get to basically? Man, do I love cars twos? But realize we've got all. Ready, boys?
Yeah, 30 seconds.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, it's something that's one of the reasons why they're not running for a quarterback. They think maybe they could develop him, and then Drew's got 2 years.
Drew's got 2 years, and then after that,
take time to be a dad.
Another quarterback can come.
Learn more at 877-4DAD-411 or visit fatherhood.gov.
Coming back.
Okay. Department of Health and
we're going back on the air? Okay.
How come all the pretty girls like you are taken, baby?
This is Dunc and Holder on Sports 1280, New Orleans.
Welcome back, Dunc and Holder, live at the Zurich Classic of New Orleans. Of course, we're at TPC, Louisiana, in Avondale. We're at the Fidelity Bank Champions Club in the lap of luxury. And when you walk in, of course, you can't escape the smell of Drago's oysters. And here with us, Tommy Satanovich. Everybody knows him by now all over the entire world, I'm sure, for his oysters. Tommy, good to see you. And first off, before we start talking about the tent here, you're fired up about the pick, Marcus Davenport.
I like that. I like that. You know, they 2 number ones for him. Basically, he's costing us 2 number ones. And I think everybody, myself included, we believe that we've got a run for these next 2 years. We're not worrying about a quarterback for the future. We're not worrying. We want to win the Super Bowl right now.
Well, yeah,
right now.
Absolutely.
The grill is hot. Put it on. Let's go.
Exactly. So, but as far as look, you guys here at Drago's have been went to Champions Club or Fidelity Bank for years and years and years, and just describe how much this tent has grown.
It's more than just Drago's, by the way. It's the Louisiana Hospitality Foundation working with 4 kids to put on the Fidelity Champions Club. But it's about a bunch of really, really good restaurants. We've got NOLA, which is one of the Emeralds, Shrimp Remoulade, Arno's, and this year we did something a little bit different. We brought in a new restaurant. We brought in Rufino's from Baton Rouge. 4 kids, they do the Pro-Am up in Baton Rouge, and so they're trying to make this more of a regional event for, the whole tournament and part of the, the sponsor restaurant from Baton Rouge. And so now Rufino's is in the Champions Club with us as well. So it's a...
Well, Tyler, I just wanted to get into the charity part of it because this does go to a good cause. A lot of the proceeds from this go through the 4 Kids Foundation. Where does it go for people that might want to come out and help donate a little bit?
Well, for the 4 Kids Foundation, they give to just about every charity, especially any children's charity that's involved in the city. They're involved with it. In particular, the Champions Club, the Fidelity Champions Club, we sponsor this with the Louisiana Hospitality Foundation, which this is a group of restaurateurs that what we do is we give back to our industry. Let me tell you, the hospitality and restaurant industry is what carries this city financially. It's all about people coming here. They're coming here to eat. They're coming here to do our conventions. They're coming for the French Quarter. They're coming to have fun. Mardi Gras, Jazz Fest, French Quarter Fest. When people have Saints games, away, New Orleans is one of the cities that they circled. That's the city I want to go to. So it's all about our hospitality. So what we've done, just our foundation, we've given back $1.5 billion in the last 10 years to hospitality workers. That's to dishwashers, that's to waiters, busboys, people that work in hotels when they're in a family crisis, whether it's a death in the family or whether we pay some death benefits to certain employees. When we have money, it's rare that we turn down requests for employees that are in a jam, whether 50 grants to 50 different employees from the hospitality industry, the people where we give back. We give back to the Pro Start program as well, which is taking high school juniors and seniors know knife skills, so they know management techniques, and they have a statewide competition, which the winners go to a national up there, and so Drago's or in Commander's Palace or any of the restaurants. Now they're going to move up and maybe get a better job where they know stuff and move.
Huge part of our economy in New Orleans.
In my opinion, it's the biggest part. Think about it. When you're on an airplane, coming or going to New Orleans, and you're talking to a stranger in these cities. When you fly to New York, you're not talking about.
I have friends coming in for Jazz Fest. First thing they ask me.
I mean, first off, you're on the approach shot for the 18th hole. It's so you see all the golfers come by. You got incredibly beautiful weather right now, and some of the best food. We've got open bar. New Orleans, we got to have the open bars.
Of course.
And so we've got all the open bars, and then we've got some of the best restaurants in the city. Galatoire's with their shrimp remoulade and. The alligator griots and grits, and
nice.
Emerald's has got a little prosciutto sandwich, and I got to tell you, Mr. B's is doing pork belly. They sear the pork belly with a fig glaze.
Can I leave the show now? I'm going to go eat.
Let me tell you a little secret. You reach over to the Drago's booth, which is right next door. You take a piece of their French bread, and then you take the pork belly from Mr. B's. Talk about a sandwich.
That's a good call.
That's a new little po' boy right there, my friend.
There you go. There you go. Tommy Zatanovich with Drago's, of course. We're at the Fidelity Bank Champions Club. One of the best spots on the course. So many great spots on the course, but one of the best spots, and very well known. Well, Tommy, we appreciate you jumping on the show.
Come on down.
Absolutely. Come on down. So that's Tommy Zatanovich with Drago's as we're here at the Fidelity Bank Champions Club at the TPC Louisiana Zurich Classic.
You get a sense in talking to Tommy that, like, the people that are out here, they're working, but they're having a blast. Don't you get the feeling, everything about the Zurich, that as long as I've covered it, everybody involved with the 4Kids Foundation, Tom Long, Lynn Long that run the media center, Tommy here at the Champions Club.
We're going to have Steve Worthy on top of the 11 o'clock hour.
It's just it's a labor of love for them. You can tell how proudful they are about the tournament, making sure everybody's enjoying themselves. And I don't know how you couldn't enjoy yourself at this tournament, especially a day like today, like Tommy said, with spectacular weather.
Absolutely, and it's only gotten better because the golf's gotten better. The people come, but the golf's even gotten better. So, all right, let's take a break right here on the show. When we get back, let's hear from Sean Payton, his thoughts on the pick of Marcus Davenport. As I just alluded to, top of the 11 o'clock hour, we're going to have Steve Worthy. He's the CEO of the 4Kids Foundation. Of course, they put on the Zurich Classic. Tomorrow, Jeff's going to be fired up about that.
I'm jacked.
He's going to have the Zydeco's play, maybe, I think. I'm saying no. The Cladicos. I already butchered that, but
I'm sticking with Cladico as just a regular nickname. I mean, I'm gonna call him that. Call him that from now on.
Clyde, we're at a golf course. You can't scream.
Cladico.
Hey.
Hey, you! Our stay here at the Zurich's gonna be short.
Exactly.
Hey man, at least I waited to Friday to do it.
Exactly. But and
wait till after we get some food here at the Champions Club.
Right. Also at 11:30, we will have Brett Martel, the Associated Press, is going to jump on, give us his thoughts on the draft, and of course Pelicans Warriors, Game 1, Western Conference semifinals tomorrow night in Oakland. So we will talk with Brett. And if we could squeeze some time with your phone calls, we're going to be pretty jam-packed. We'll give it a shot. 504-260-1280 is the number to get involved here on Sports 1280, NOLA.com, and the iHeartRadio app. Duncan Holder.
Your forecast on Sports.
So, hey,
yeah.
Did you send me a guest list?
Everyone that is going to be here.
All right.
Yeah, Tommy.
Friday, it is going to be a festive Friday. All right. Mostly sunny skies. Today's high temp only at 76 degrees. Tonight, overnight lows, cool but pleasant in the 50s, both north and south, and the weekend, fantastic. A bit warmer, high temperature at about 79 to 81. Overnight lows back to the 50s to near 60. But once again, for golfing and for Jaws Fest, it is going to be perfect with sunny skies and pleasant temperatures. From the Fox 8 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Bruce Katz with your Weather Authority forecast.
War, poverty, and disaster have left millions of children around the world orphaned, abandoned, alone. When their parents can't be there, SOS Children's Villages is there in 134 countries, including the U.S. To make a difference in a child's life, SOSUSA.org.
There are lots of reasons you love your deck. Staining it is probably not one of them. Choose a stain that will last for years and provide enduring beauty. Timeless stain from PPG only at the Home Depot from $44.97 a gallon. When it goes on and on. Year after year, protecting your deck from everything Mother Nature can throw at it. It's been a secret of for years. Now you can get it.
You might be wrong. It might be in the media center.
$44.97 a gallon. Exclusive at the Home Depot.
Some sort of disaster like
for just $4. But now the 4for4 has more variety than ever with 8 sandwich choices.
My 3-year-old would like to know, was it a diesel train, was it a cold train, a steam train, a steamy,
whether you're loyal to one sandwich or all of the Wendy's 4for4 has a sandwich for you. So try them out and pick your favorite. Now that's delicious.
Participating Wendy's for limited.
Deadly consequences. It's no accident. Road crashes are preventable, and any action that distracts you from driving is dangerous. Especially at night. That's when most pedestrian fatalities occur. Don't let take your attention away from the road. Take the pledge to be alert and aware at togetherforsaferroads.org/pledge.
It's not easy being a mom, but my Chrysler Pacifica makes soccer practice a little more fun. I can binge all my shows of the available Uconnect Theater, open the store and go seating to grab my hidden romance novel, or just jam out to the radio. Hey Mom, what was that song? Huh? What song? I didn't hear a song.
Chrysler Pacifica. It's loaded with attitude. Chrysler is a registered trademark of FCA US LLC.
Let's all go to the lobby.
Free Movie Friday with Adam Tickets is back. Text LIFT to ATOM, the number 1, for your chance to win free movie tickets. The Adam Tickets app lets you skip the lines, browse movie titles, and pre-order concessions all from your phone. Standard data and text message rates may apply.
Learn
Get used to the Roadrunner. The Texas San Antonio Roadrunner, Marcus Davenport. Saints traded up from 27 to 14 last night in the NFL draft. Got themselves an edge rusher. And, of course, the Saints, you had to pay. They paid their first-round pick at number 27 overall. They paid their fifth-round pick, their first fifth-round pick at number 147. So they still have another fifth-round pick at 167. But they paid that, and they paid their first-round pick for next year. And I know some people were a little antsy about the price, and we are all assuming, and I know the Saints are all assuming this too, that first-round pick is going to be in the mid-20s to the late 20s, and I'm pretty sure the Saints are feeling really good about making that move. And Sean Payton, and you'll hear a soundbite in a little bit, the same was said with Alvin Kamara last year. They don't have a second-round pick this year because of Alvin Kamara. I don't think many people are complaining about that right now. So if Marcus Davenport can give you, I'm not going to say Alvin Kamara production, but if he plays well, no one's going to remember that.
No, I think, look, anybody can Monday morning quarterback after a trade. I had someone on social media, you know, the great unwashed masses on social media who said basically, oh, we'll judge this trade in January. You can't judge this trade in January. You've got to wait till January of 2021 or 22 before you judge a trade like this. If you'd have judged the Saints' decision to trade up for Mark Ingram the January after they did it, it would have been a failure.
Can't hear Jeff.
Certainly looks like a quality trade now. So I don't think this trade will be fully judged and properly judged, I should say, until 2-3 years down the road. And if this team, and if Marcus Davenport helps them win a Super Bowl title, and that's clearly what the goal is here.
Properly judged, yes. He will be immediately judged, and tomorrow, and the next day, and the next day, and the next day, but that's just kind of the nature of the beast. All right, let's hear from Sean Payton. Of course, he spoke after the pick. He got into the media room much earlier than maybe we anticipated because they made a pick so early. So let's start off with Sean Payton, just his initial thoughts on the pick of Marcus Davenport.
I had spent some time with, quite a bit of time with, and just, really didn't know exactly at what point in the draft we felt he was going to be taken, specifically the first round. Like every year, we would discuss, who were the players that we would move forward for, and he clearly for us was a guy that we felt strongly enough about. Fits a must position as well. We see him over at the right defensive end position. Compensation was fair.
Now, of course, Sean Payton was asked about if there was anyone else they pondered outside of Davenport to move up to go get.
Well, there's players that were taken like right in that same ballpark. You saw some real good linebackers go. Well, one was taken before, and I think those are all real good football players. And every year it seems like the quarterbacks kind of lead the way in regards to pushing other players back. And I think that was the case a little bit this year as well.
Now, as for Sean Payton and the Saints trying to get a deal done, of course, they're making phone calls. It didn't just come from spur of the moment. They had this thing targeted. We talked about this already, guys. But let's hear from Sean Payton on just about how the deal came about.
Quite honestly, the process takes place days leading up to the draft where we talk to be teams outside those first 4, 5, 6. 10 is a benchmark a little bit because the contracts can be different, when it's an option year. But nonetheless, there's pre-draft discussion just with the idea of who might be interested in possibly moving. Because when the draft starts, you're not going to have that same amount of time, and yet, there were a few teams we spoke with, and I would have said probably around the 8th or 9th pick, I would have picked 2 other teams that we were more likely to do a deal with that didn't happen, and then it ended up being Green Bay. So we were right in that middle of the first round, which is where we saw the value.
Now, lots of people are wondering about the price of moving up. Here's Sean Payton's thoughts about that subject.
When you look at the points on it, you're picking at 27, so let's call it a first round pick it is, and yet it's pick 27. To truly do the full metrics of the value, you'd have to jump ahead next year to see, all right, what's next year's one. So I think that you're constantly paying attention to the charts, and teams in our league are on top of correct compensation. Periodically you see one that gets bumped out of whack, but this was one that was easy. And look, these were the same questions last year when we moved our second round pick for Alvin Kamara. And that appears to be, you're a lot, and yet, sure, what's our country's national debt? I mean, it's like however many $1 billion we're talking about, hopefully a late round pick next year.
And of course, look, and that's the point we were getting at, and it's the same thing with the Kamara pick. Look, that pick obviously worked out, and yet they had a lot of draft assets to do that last year. This year, they didn't have as many draft assets to do that, and so we were talking about it toward the end of our show yesterday when we were at the Acme tent here at the Zurich Classic at TPC, Louisiana, and we knew they were going to have to dive in. If they wanted to make a big jump, they were going to have to dive in to next year's crop. And we even said it. If you got to give up a 1, you're going to give up a 1 if you're going to go way up to go get a pass rusher.
Right. They knew that they were going to have to trade some considerable assets to get up that high. And look, they did it. They are all in. They want to win right now. You got a 39-year-old Drew Brees at quarterback. You've got a talented young core. You're close. And this window will not be there forever. You've got to strike while you can. And waiting 27 was not going to get an impact talent like Marcus Davenport. And that was a great line by Peyton. Best line of the press conference last night about the national debt. And real quick, from Justin Massione on the Saints PR staff, speaking of, Larry, you talked about trading up. This was the largest trade up in the first round of the draft in the Saints history. They've never gone up 13 spots. Just to it's a testament to how difficult that is to do, because you have to have a lot of draft capital or players to move up that high. Saints had never done that before. They'd never gone up 13 spots in the first round. So that also speaks to just how bold a move it was.
But the bold move, it was supposed to be for a quarterback, right? It's supposed to be for, you're wearing your Louisville Cardinals. I guess it's not the Stanford Cardinal.
Can you see that Cardinal?
Why are you sticking that Cardinal in Clyde's face?
Because Clyde was giving me grief last night on social media.
Yeah, because he was doing more work trying to find Louisville notes than actual notes on Marcus Davenport.
No, I found plenty on Marcus Davenport.
Oh, you mean? I'm sorry. Did you retweet the one about the Saints drafting 3 defensive ends in the last 15 years? 2 of them have gone on to be Pro Bowlers.
That's a good one. Give us that.
So I found this last night just after the pick was made, and this was from NFL Research.
You guys are like, oh, wait a minute.
I say, yeah,
give us the nugget.
Yeah, well, hear that. Because I didn't see it. That's a good one.
So last night, obviously perusing after their pick was made, NFL Research came out with a tweet that says, the Saints have drafted 3 defensive ends in the first round of the last 11 pick, and Will Smith, 18th overall in the 2004 drafts, each went on to become Pro Bowlers in New Orleans.
That's good stuff.
So when they go for it, tends to be a good pick. So, hey, at least history is on the Saints side here. But, no, the speculation is The Saints are going to take a quarterback at 27. Maybe they're going to move up to number 8. Maybe they move all the way up to number 1 and take Baker Mayfield or anyone. No.
It was never.
I took it upon myself to make sure that Sean Payton put out this silly fire that we've been trying to put out for a few weeks. Let's hear Sean Payton's thoughts on the possibility of taking a quarterback in round 1.
Oh yeah, we discussed it, and yet we try to grade each one and really tune out. It's hard now to tune out all the outside predictions. Maybe not. That's not the right word. It's hard to tune out a lot of the mocks, because if you're not careful, then you'll find yourself moving in a certain direction away from your conviction. And so clearly, I don't know that we had. Obviously, Drew's played a long time, and yet we're fully confident that he's going to continue to play, and we're pretty excited about the young guys that are working, behind him.
Were they looking? Sure, because that's part of the scouting process.
Yeah, they look at every position. That's what kills me about this. You bring up a quarterback and people go crazy like that. The fact that he talked about Lamar Jackson, everybody starts trying to read between the lines.
It's unbelievable.
Also,
because I was there when this all started and happened. He was asked specifically about Lamar Jackson because he mentioned the top 4 quarterbacks, and then someone said, "Oh, well, what do you think about Lamar Jackson?" And the first thing he said, he had a great smile. I'm not the Saints offense. I don't know.
Well, I think Sean Payton kind of validated what we said. I feel
my tweet from last night at 2:30.
Yeah, we talked
where
about
I
it.
debunked the myth of them trading up for a quarterback.
We talked about it already.
The fact that none of these quarterbacks in this draft were thought of as highly by the Saints as Patrick Mahomes, and he said that yesterday. He said there was no Patrick Mahomes in our mind. Now, one of these guys might be that, but in their mind,
oh, don't worry, these quarterbacks clearly think of themselves. I mean, the quotes from Josh Rosen last night all but basically say such things about how there were 9 mistakes ahead of him before he was eventually picked. And it's like, okay, bro.
Well, look, I like part of that. I like that he's got confidence. Sure. Some people have said one of the top players in the entire draft. Motivational chip. So, more power to them if they can use that. I know up on him. These guys try to find any kind of built-in competitive advantage they can.
No doubt about it. All right, let's take a break right here on the show. We are on location. TPC, Louisiana. Galatoire's, Dickie Brennan's Tableau. The show now.
We got an hour to go, bro.
And go eat. We got a little more than that. How about we have an hour and then you take over the last 15 minutes and we're out of here?
Okay.
And we could just play the biggest hits of the Cladicos. Can we do that? I think we can. Would that fit in the Country 550 theme?
Let's go to
on Payton, just on the type of player. On Payton, how he described it. So we'll hear from all. So come on back. Sports 1280, NOLA.com, and the iHeartRadio app for Dunc and Holder.
Like Rascal Flats, that's
from the first pitch.
Hey, what? Whatsoever. Hey, what? Whatsoever.
USLawShield.com has no cap.
We can do a raising on his Facebook and call it Aaron Neville.
Go to Vistaprint.
Exactly what I'm going to do.
Satisfaction is Vistaprint.com and use promo code.
I have Crohn's disease. And ulcerative colitis. To find a walk.
Very hard
for me, but Miss Araceli, she gave me direction.
At age 47, that's finishyourdiploma.org, brought to you by the Dog Digital Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
Choosing Oklahoma quarterback Baker Mayfield at number.
Some scores. I won't mention
the Giants chose Penn
Butcher their name and sound like a dude.
Well, I mean, there's other things that never going to live this down. You went bad. Gunpowder and lead, bro. It's coming next.
County Road.
And Lucas Glover. Yeah, they played early yesterday, and so they will be teeing off later today. Some notable names on the course: Patrick Reed and Patrick Cantlay. They are at 8 under. 8 under, 1 under all today's round as well. So you got some big names actually coming up this afternoon. You're going to have the Jordan Spieth, Ryan Palmer groups. You're going to have some big names. The ones who started early yesterday are going to start midday today. So get on out here, and we're going to talk with Steve Worthy, CEO of the 4Kids Foundation, in about 15 minutes live here on set. But no, let's continue the conversation with Marcus Davenport. In a pretty wide consensus that below Bradley Chubb, as far as pass rushers, people are either saying Marcus Davenport or Harold was still a better prospect than Landry. And honestly, you look at the rest of the league, they agreed because Harold Landry went undrafted last night.
Yeah, that kind of surprised me. Who else did you all feel like was a surprise? I thought my boy Lamar Jackson would have gone earlier than he did. But he did go in the first round. But it seemed to me like we were right, and the national media was right, that there was a lot of deals. Like, those quarterbacks forced people to make trades. There were a lot of deals. A lot of teams wanted to trade down. I mentioned this on Twitter this morning. All the noise that we heard from the national media about some of the rumors that they'd heard, they all proved accurate. The Saints thing broke yesterday early that they were looking to trade up. Turned out to be true. The Baker Mayfield interest by the Browns turned out to be true. So there was a lot of good reporting yesterday, and I felt like we were right on top of what the Saints were doing. We never were wavered on the tight end or the quarterback speculation. I think we knew that if the Saints could go up and trade up and get a guy like Davenport, they'd do it. It was just a matter of if they could find a willing suitor for the proper price.
Well, I think one surprise is that, at least locally, no Darius Geis, no LSU players. Clyde dug this up. We didn't have to dig real far. Third time in the last 4 years where no LSU players gone in round one. Now, several are probably going to fly off the board today. Don't forget the Saints have a third-round pick today, still 91 overall. The Saints can still go in a variety of directions. You could look tight end. You could look defensive line. You could look linebacker, wide receiver. It's wide open for the Saints. And you still can't put out of the realm of possibility that maybe they move up a couple slots in round 3 because they've got a lot of draft assets in day 3 to package.
Did that because we've said before, I don't think they're going to use all those picks. I could easily see them finding another target, maybe an offensive lineman for depth to move up. Maybe one of these tight ends they really like.
But, you know, for me, I think it was what the rest of the NFC South did. You see what Carolina did going with DJ Moore. You see what Atlanta does with going and getting Calvin Ridley. And then Tampa Bay gets... Yes, you know, we had talked to so many people around the NFC South. Just trying to stockpile as many weapons on the edges as they can get. And, I mean...
Well, the Tampa pick, a lot of people were scratching their heads. Some of the talking heads and the national media. People wondering what about. Like it seems like the qualms about saying, despite some of the, there's still some work to do with Marcus Davenport. Let's actually hear.
And that's, you know, that's part of what we get to do as coaches. We look forward to that, and when you're around him and you're around this that fits the prototype scale, the metrics in regards to his height, weight, size, speed, his tremendous makeup, he's very smart, and yeah, I'm sure, you know, our defensive coaches, you know, all of us are anxious to work with players like that, and hopefully allow them to maximize their potential. That's really what we are. We're teachers.
And as far as the evaluation, look, he played well at the Senior Bowl, obviously tested well at the Combine, but what are some of the big games that Sean Payton saw him play? Let's hear from Sean Payton on that.
Is that all of a sudden you're like, man, they're playing Houston, they're playing Baylor, they're playing. And we'll really look at some small that has made a commitment to a high level. How he plays, that's pretty impressive. There'll be some things we'll have to work with him on, like any rookie, any young player. And we look forward to doing that.
And as far as the expectation levels, raw or not, this pick isn't just about taking heat off Cam Jordan.
Yeah, I'm not interested in taking any heat off Cam. I'm interested in getting other players like Cam. So you know, I think
you got about 2 minutes left. 2 minutes.
Targets was, you know, a pressure player, and that might come as a guy who lines up inside. It might come from a player that lines up outside. But before we check that box, we have to feel like he can affect the quarterback. And you know, our leagues, there's a premium on a few different positions. One of them is that. One of them is at corner. We saw the quarterbacks and the tackles. You know, we can't find those guys when the season's.
Jeff, how many off-season or they see long-term extensions, and that's how they've got Cam Jordan. Now they feel like maybe Marcus Davenport can become that second guy that they hang on to for a long time.
Well, I think Cloud's noted a while ago the fact that Will Smith, Cam Jordan, now Marcus Davenport, the last two defensive ends the Saints has that were Pro Bowlers, they drafted. You just don't find those guys on the street. They're too valuable and too hard to find in this league. And I think the familiarity with Ole Miss probably.
Actually love LSU now since Frank Wilson once coached at LSU.
No, he go back to Ole Miss.
So it doesn't count. So the Saints still hate LSU.
Yeah, exactly. Time of day to draft somebody.
Hour number 1 is up. Hour number 2 is on the way. We get back with talk with Steve Worthy, CEO of the 4Kids Foundation. We'll also talk with Brett Martel, the Associated Press, on site as we're at the Fidelity Bank Champions Club here at the Zurich Classic of New Orleans, TPC, Louisiana. So come on back. Sports 1280, NOLA.com, the iHeartRadio app. Dunc and Holder.
Drowning is the second.
Wow, Brett's actually out and about?
Yeah, he came out from his cave.
I'm about to say, man, does he have to talk to people?
Disproportionately.
Well, once they talk to him after about 5 minutes, they'll probably walk away anyway. And he's still talking.
That's cold. But funny, but cold.
40%.
Is offering a low-cost and no-cost learn-to-swim program for at-risk kids. It's called Waterproofing and gives swimming lessons to 2,600 children. Eating dark chocolate can lower your stress level and make you smarter and healthier. That's what 2 new studies have found. Scientists at Loma Linda University in California say research suggests eating certain types of dark chocolate have a positive effect on memory, mood, and immunity, while also lowering stress. Health updates. Sarah Lee Kessler, NBC News Radio.
WODT WNOE FM HD2 New Orleans. Listen on the free iHeartRadio app. Search Sports 1280.
Fox Sports Trending now.
A well-kept secret revealed last night as the Cleveland Browns took Baker Mayfield with the top overall pick in the draft. 5 quarterbacks were taken in the first round. Sam Darnold taken at number 3 by the Jets. Josh Allen at number 7 by the Bills. Number 32 overall by the Ravens. Rosen a little miffed at being taken number 10.
I mean, I was pretty calm and cool. I'm pretty good at handling my emotions. So I was sitting with my mom and my dad. As it was rolling on, I'm just thinking in my head what I'm going to do when I get picked. I promise you, like I said before, I will be the last man standing in this quarterback class.
And he was taken at number 10 overall, so that there were 9 big mistakes made ahead of him. Meanwhile, the Steelers have traded receiver Martavis Bryant to the Raiders for a 3rd-round pick in tonight's draft. I'm Deb Carson.
We are One-Fourth. Your shot at $1,000 now. Confirming entry plus iHeartRadio info. Standard data and message rates apply. That's lock to 200-200.
Paid non-attorney spokesperson. Paid for by Open Jar. Attention current or retired railroad employees. If you or a loved one worked for the railroad and were diagnosed with any form of cancer, asbestos, chemical solvents, and welding fumes can all cause cancer and are commonly found in the railroad work environment. Federal law allows employees to sue a railroad company if their injuries were caused by or contributed from the company's negligence. Injured employees can recover compensation costs for medical treatment and for the employee's lost income due to their injuries. If you or a loved one worked for the railroad and then developed cancer, call the Railroad Employee Cancer Helpline at 800-590-8915. Our network of attorneys have years of experience fighting for their 800-590-8915. That's 800-590-8915. 800-590-8915.
Americans are always on the move. They're in the car, or at the office, or working around the house. Americans refuse to sit still. So how do you connect with all those moving targets? Easy, with radio. Radio reaches Americans every week, more than Google, Facebook, and even television. Because hey, who has time to sit and watch TV? So when you want to connect with all those constantly moving adults, teens, and millennials, get to iHeartMedia.com and put AM/FM radio to work for your company.
We're here in this new neighborhood to talk about the American dream. Looking good, boys. A dream that Navy Federal Credit Union wants to help you celebrate with a mortgage that you won't lose sleep over. Navy Federal offers 100% financing, no private mortgage insurance, and even no money down on a variety of conventional and VA loans. So start living your dream today. Subject to approval, 100% financing loans include an additional funding fee. Visit NavyFederal.org for more information. Open to the Armed Forces, the DoD, veterans, and their families. Federally insured by NCUA, Equal Housing Lender.
Ryan! I don't know how else to say this, so I'll just say it.
What is it, Linda?
I think we should see other people.
Are you breaking up with me? On a roller coaster?
Well, we do have a lot of fun.
Well, then that's Bubba Watson and Kuchar and Rose and Stenson.
An emotional roller coaster?
It's Bubba Watson.
All right, well, Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
If you own a gun for protection, you need legal defense for self-defense. U.S. Law Shield is now in Louisiana. If you must defend yourself, you have the nation's largest network of independent program attorneys passionate about your self-defense rights, ready to defend you. And you'll pay. Everyone gets the best coverage in the nation for $10.95 a month. Go to uslawshield.com and
Hire a cash with celebrity chef Scott Quigg at Katie's. Scott, you have to be excited about Katie's expanded second floor seating and private dining rooms.
Yeah, but how about my vast local sports?
No sports? Should we be talking about your award-winning Sunday brunch?
I'd rather talk about the Saints and the Pels.
How about your award-winning pizza or daily specials?
How about them Saints?
I admit you have a great take on local sports, but what about
I've talked to him like at length about making sure he came over.
701 on
When you're behind the wheel, phone call. All right, 9.5, guys.
I think he was going to come at 11:05.
It's no accident. Road crashes are preventable. Drivers who use cell phones are 4 times more likely to be involved in car wrecks. Stay focused.
A story on the Ringer about
put your phone out of reach and silence all notifications. And always set destinations on navigation devices.
I thought about the loneliest beach in NBA.
Distractions mean safer roads for everyone. Take the pledge and not drive distracted at togetherforsaferroads.org/pledge.
Spectacles 2.0 are now available. Snapchat's second version of their smart glasses are water-resistant, lighter and smaller, and offer better resolution for both photos and videos. You can get them in 3 works to faster transmit images. Smart glasses will run you $150. You can buy them at spectacles.com. Snap took a bath using the Comcast X1 voice remote. Users can ask for the location of one of their tiles, the small dongle devices that can be attached to things like bags, purses, and keys. The last known location and the address of the missing tile will then appear on the screen. Fortnite is now the biggest free-to-play video console game ever.
Yeah, Fortnite. Woo!
I don't even know what that means.
How old's your oldest child?
Bunch of losers.
6. Oh, yeah, well, you'll find out in a couple more years. But it'll probably be a different game, but yeah.
Yes.
I remember when me and my son used to talk, but then he got an iPhone, and I never seen the kid. Now, here we go.
Dunc and Holder, hour number 2 on a Friday, April 27th. Larry Holder, Jeff Duncan, Clyde Verdun here with you. TPC Louisiana, Zurich Classic of New Orleans, round 2. Club, of course, that is where you've got some of the best restaurants in New Orleans. But the Louisiana Hospitality Foundation, they put this thing on here every year, and of course it all goes to a great cause. And look, we've already had some big galleries coming by. Just walking past us was the foursome. It was Justin Rose, Henrik Stenson, Matt Kuchar, and Bubba Watson. So, of course, they had quite the gallery with them. And so, look, you're going to be seeing plenty more people out here, say, today than probably yesterday, given that it's Friday. People are taking off work. I've already seen friends out here. I have no idea if they're actually just playing hooky or what's going on. I have no idea. So get on out here. Of course, it's going to be some top-notch golf, some of the best golfers in the world. And, Jeff, it's moving day. You know, the cut down for the weekend is coming up at the end of round 2. And the all-important walk-up music comes on round 3, and Jeff is going to be having his dancing shoes on. Jeff, if you don't document every walk-up music, all of them.
I'm excited. They've already released a lot of the names, a lot of the songs.
Well, where's the list? We need the list.
Well, I'm hoping
who made the list?
AC/DC made the list.
Did they? Made the list.
Yeah, they did. Thunderstruck.
Yeah, from one report that had, I guess, a couple on there. A lot of Thunderstruck, some,
Well, Patrick Reed told me he and his teammate Patrick Cantlay originally were going to do Eye of the Tiger.
Which I don't find that bad. I think that
tribute
actually,
to LSU.
Yeah, I actually think I think for the pick, I think that's actually a great pick because it does have a very, very memorable open.
Yeah, he for some reason he said the open wouldn't be as punchy as the open for Thunderstruck. And look, the open for Thunderstruck is pretty awesome.
Yeah, it is.
So, but
although I like Steve's what he said his would be "Lose Yourself" by Eminem. That's a banger, man. That's a banger.
That would definitely work as well. Just a warning out here: the guys moving up the ninth fairway right now, over in the area near the fairway trap where a gator yesterday basically caused an incident.
Lots of havoc yesterday here.
An incident. Someone got bit.
No, he refused to move out of the sand trap.
Troy Landry to come scoop him up, swap people.
And Taylor Gooch, his shot unfortunately went into the sand trap, the fairway trap, and he could not get this gator to move. Basically, had to throw a rake, rake at the gator. He still refused to budge, and so he had to take a drop as an unplayable lie because of the alligators. That's the first time I've ever seen that. In my entire journalistic career.
Happy Gilmore when the ball's in the one-eyed gator's mouth and you got to play?
No.
Come on.
They had to chase the gators.
They're not that tough.
Yesterday with the tractors to get them off the fairway.
Well, I had the full list of walk-up music since I did so down the entire list.
You're so savvy.
Very savvy. Sam Burns and William McGirt. Of course, Sam Burns, LSU golfer. Colin Baton Rouge from golf. Wow.
Other than having a fiddle, there's nothing cool about that.
Well, he's not part of the Clodicos, so yeah.
Clearly.
Someone is in the sand over there.
Good Lord.
That's not good. I like this. The group with Retief Goosen, Africa from Toto.
Very good. Yes, that's quality.
I like that. You got a little. Oh no. Yin Yang twins.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie.
Oh my God!
Totally get
this one. KJ Choi, Charlie Wee, Gangnam Style. Oh, by Psy.
Kidding me. Gangnam Style.
You got a couple of AC/DCs. Let's see. You got Shipping Up to Boston, Dropkick Murphys. That's Keegan Bradley and John Curran, so I can get down with some of that.
That's a great one.
Careless Whisper by George Michael.
That is literally, I saw that one too, and I was like, this is where it's at. I'm fully on board with that.
Having fun with that, with the golf tournament angle.
Sergio Garcia, The Best from Tina Turner. Justin Thomas and Bud Colley, Circle of Life.
Some people get weird.
Shane Lowry and Padraig Harrington, Beautiful Day by U2. A few Drakes. You got a few Van Halens.
That's good. One group that is going to get, and especially if you have a lot of New Orleanians here in the crowd tomorrow, if they make the cut, Make Them Say by Master P from Kevin Na and Byung-Hun An. Are you kidding me right now? That's what I'm talking about. Like, someone got it. They got New Orleans hip-hop, royalty, and Master P. That's what I'm talking about. You want to talk about bringing it back home to New Orleans? That's how you do it.
Who did it? You got a couple of Tupacs with California Love.
That's what I'm talking about right there.
It's not Wobble Wobble Wednesday.
It's not Wobble Wobble Wednesday, but, man, you can get some people jacked up on the first tee if you play that. Are you kidding me?
Well, I'm wondering how golf purists look at it. All I know is I think it's fun.
By the way, Tony Finau and Daniel Summerhays picking Zapp and Roger. Are you serious?
No, that's pretty cool.
Good stuff.
What is that?
Cool. Zapp and Roger? Are you kidding me?
No, I'm not kidding you.
Doo-wah Diddy? Oh my goodness! Come on, Larry.
I don't know. I don't know anything.
If
it's not the Saved by the Bell theme or 90210 theme, I don't know anything.
Which we know would be yours, and that actually wouldn't be terrible either, because that guitar that comes in at the start of the song, that's how you get a walk-up song, and then it's nothing but solo the rest of the way.
Or someone walk up with the Ric Flair theme song, something like that.
Oh yeah.
And you strut. You ever heard of Ric Flair, Jeff?
Come out in the
I think
huge robe.
He used to wrestle against The Rock, because The Rock was a wrestler before he became an actor.
Jeff has been educated for 2 weeks that The Rock is actually a wrestler. But no, look, you've got plenty of good golf going on out here, and let's take a look at the leaderboard here real quick. You've got Michael Kim and Andrew Putnam making a jump. They are 13 holes in. They are 2 under par for the day. They are now tied for the lead with Ches Reavie and Lucas Glover. They have yet to tee off. They will tee off in about an hour and a half. And I'm curious to see how some of these teams can make a jump, because
today's alternate shot.
That's what I was looking for.
I thought that's where you were going.
Yes.
Yesterday was best ball. So basically what that means is you play with a partner. Say Larry and I are playing together. We each play our ball through the entire hole, but we take the best score of our two alternate shots. So basically it's harder to score a lower score today for obvious reasons, because yesterday you're taking the best score of the two. So for instance, the strategy in best ball is if Larry's on my team and he puts his approach shot close and very safe for, say, a par, and I'm hitting after him, obviously I can fire away at the pin, because the worst you can do as a team is probably going to be par there. So that's the strategy that's involved in best ball compared to alternate shot. And look, we've seen the group I followed yesterday, Patrick Reed, of course, the defending Masters champion. He and Patrick Cantlay were playing with Jonas Blixt and Cameron Smith, the defending Zurich champions. They had a very small gallery. It was kind of strange.
I wanted to ask you about that. What was the gallery like?
It was very small. I mean, there were like less than 50 people at its greatest. Most of the time, there were about 20 to 30 people in the group. And they made a little bit of a run today. They just dropped a stroke today. They're down to 7 under today, but they're getting ready to start coming through here, I believe, at some point. but they will be making their way through. I thought they would have a bigger crowd. I mean, you got the defending champs and you got the Masters champion, but it didn't seem to bother those guys at all. Patrick Reed was just happy to get back out on the course. I mean, he's been on a whirlwind post-Masters banquet tour. He was on Jimmy Fallon. He was at a Knicks game sitting on the court with Aziz Ansari.
Well, you could just find him wherever he was because he was Ricky Jackson 2.0 wearing the jacket everywhere he goes.
He made a very funny joke about that. I didn't get it in the paper. I tried to get it in my column. I couldn't wedge it in. Said he left the jacket at home for this weekend, and actually his next 2 or 3 weeks on the tour, he's not bringing it with him. He said he was worried it was starting to fade because he'd been wearing it so much out in the sun that he didn't want to ruin his jacket, which I thought was fun. Be a little self-deprecation out of Patrick Reed.
Absolutely. All right, let's take a break right here on the show. When we get back, let's talk a little bit more NFL draft, just kind of our impressions of what maybe the Saints might do in round 2. I'll give you a little history lesson of some of the players that have been taken in the past few years. At pick number 91, it's the one pick that the Saints currently have walking into the day 2 round.
I think it fits you to a T. This is also still great though.
No, but there's a Facebook series.
Zach Morris is the worst.
Zach Morris is trash. Club sponsored by Fidelity. Dude, Zach Morris is trash. It's one of the greatest things I've ever seen in my life.
Man, they're usually like 2 or 3 minutes long, but they are worth every second.
They're like I binge watched it. Like I couldn't stop.
There are lots of the one with the homeless girl, and then Kelly trying to become a model.
Yeah,
he treats her like her property. It's the best.
It is wonderful.
When it goes on and on.
That's why I take the worst qualities of Zach Morris, the best qualities of Brandon Walsh, and his journalism skills and PPGs.
Hey guys, when you're built like a power forward, finding huge selection of clothes, starting at size XL, from Lacoste, Levi's, Brooks Brothers, and more. So stop into one of our 200-plus DXL stores or visit DestinationXL.com to find clothes that look great and fit even better. Built to fit. Built XL. DXL.
Meek Mill says confession to television host Lester Holt on NBC's Nightly News and told Holt he doesn't feel free because his case is still not 18 years old. Months of a 2-year sentence for violating probation that stemmed from the charges. The jury has reached a verdict in Bill Cosby's assault retrial. NBC News' Ron Allen says Cosby is guilty of all 3 counts. To 30 years in prison. On the heels of his Broadway musical escape to Margaritaville, Jimmy Buffett is planning to open New York's theater rooms, a rooftop pool, and 5 o'clock somewhere bar
I think Steve's
is expected to be ready in NBC News Radio.
Okay. Why don't you see if you can get us some wrist?
Yeah, so Steve's coming on.
All right. Pet near you. Brought to you by Maddie's Fund, the Humane Society of the United States, and the Ad Council.
This is Dunc and Holder.
Live from the Zurich Classic of New Orleans, TPC, Louisiana. We're at the Fidelity Bank Champions Club and busy. Once again, you know, we needed a double dose of Steve over the week while we're here.
Thanks for having me. I don't know what's going on, so you guys will have to.
It was yesterday. I know.
So this year, NOLA Motorsport. That's our overflow, and have been kind of monitoring, and we have had, but very possible today.
That's right. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's a gorgeous day. Yesterday was awesome. Early rain, but so what? It just cooled it off, and everyone had a great time. And we want to ask you about specifically something that happened right over there yesterday with Taylor Gooch and battling some alligators. Look, that's a hazard of the course, and it makes it uniquely Zurich Classic.
Well, you have to have great concentration to be able to hit a shot, sometimes with an alligator not far away or crossing the fairway. I moved back home from California, and the media coverage of the alligators has everybody out there thinking there are alligators walking down Canal Street or, the French Quarter, you name it. So, alligators get a lot of attention here.
I gotta mention this since we're on the subject of alligators. This is hilarious. So yesterday I was following Patrick Reed, Patrick Cantlade, Jonas Blixt, Cameron Smith, and the Standard Bearers. I just happened to be walking alongside the Standard Bearers for that group, and they were discussing how they are convinced that the TPC Louisiana trucks in alligators just for this tournament. They're convinced, Steve, that they're plants, that they're not real.
That could easily be believed. You're certainly going to get a lot of attention on the alligators this week, but no, they're here year-round. You see them walking around. They're very comfortable here.
Yeah, they're at home, in other words. They're not imports.
Yes, that is correct.
Okay, just making sure I have to let those guys know because they were convinced.
It's not extras.
Okay. Steve Worthy, CEO of the 4Kids Foundation. Of course, they put on the Zurich Classic of New Orleans. Join us right here on Dunc and Holder as we're live on location. Third day in a row. It's been a great time for us. And Steve, just early feedback from what you guys have seen for the tournament so far.
Well, first and foremost, the feedback from players has been off the charts good. It's rewarding. We've got a lot of people who work so hard. We want to put on the best show for our spectators and our local folks, and to be able to attract the players we've attracted this week and to have them so positive about this week, about the future, is really, really good. Weather puts everybody in a good mood, so that's been great. We feel real good about where we are. A lot of good.
How do you foresee that affecting the leaderboard? Talk to some of the players. They think it's going to be a little bit harder to make a huge jump to.
So, I hadn't seen what the score.
Yes.
So there are disasters waiting when you're an alternate.
Best ball.
Exactly. I mean, everybody, these guys, professional. That's certainly not going to be the case. If you could shoot, everybody, these guys, professional. That's certainly not going to be the case. If you could shoot 66. So, yeah, I expect the field. I mean, we had so many.
Far 3 under par, and haven't teed off yet, but Michael Kim and Andrew Putnam, they are 2 under through 14, 11 under par. So it's not these 60
and alternate shot. And I'll tell you, with the totally different level of nerves, but that's one thing. But they're so hesitant that they just don't want to put their partner in a.
Well, we got to the tournament the other day, but Patrick Reed actually mentioned one of the early things he does is the responsibility. I mean, these guys are used to playing for themselves, and now they've got a teammate they don't want to let down, so there's inherent pressure to try and please your partner.
Right. And if you look at whether Ryder Cup, President's Cup, here last year, you have the kind of team chemistry that you don't hold something against your partner for putting you in a bad spot and you can bounce back.
Of New Orleans, can we just do this every week and we can come out and do our show right here every week?
And the weekend, fantastic. Once again, for golf and for Joe. Sorry, I'm meteorologist Spruce Catch with you. And for Joe. Sorry, I'm in for Joe. Sorry, I'm in for Joe. Sorry, I'm in.
Is there in 134 countries.
is probably not one of them. Just a stain that will last for years.
Year after audio of the
from PPG starting at $34.97 exclusively with the home.
You like the sandwich plus 4 nuggets, a small fry, and a drink, all for just $4.
Junior bacon cheeseburger through and through.
I pledge myself to the crispy chicken sandwich. I'm loyal to my hunger.
Whether you want a sandwich or all eight, the Wendy's 4 for $4 has a sandwich for you. So try them all, pick your favorite.
Audio from the guy who had to run away from the alligator.
What's his name?
Taylor Gooch.
Yeah, send it to me and then I can chop it up. He just wants that last part.
Yeah, just him. Thanks.
Go to USLawShield.com.
Yep.
It's 3 p.m. A third of these.
I love it.
They're out on their own.
I got this thing on.
There's nothing to do and nowhere to go. Only meaning to the 3 o'clock bell, doesn't it?
You don't have
It's time to support the Boys and Girls Club. About what, growing up in the booth?
I don't think we did. No, I just saw it.
I thought you did. Break the news. He's right here and stand by me. He's breaking news on you guys. What the hell?
Whether you throw it back out today or like to already thrown it out once. Well, I heard it on that episode.
Hey, we're back.
Oh, sorry.
Shut up, Jeff.
Rowdy on a Friday here. Duncan Holder, the Philip Fidelity Bank Champions Club, and joining us on site, I'm sure Brett, just out of the kindness of his own heart, Brett Martel, the Associated Press, we just happened to be at the Champions Club, and Brett, out of the kindness of his own heart, decided to join us here, not just because there's all this delicious food from Arno's, Galatoire's, Dickie Brennan's Tableau, PJ's Coffee, NOLA, Drago's, Mr. B's Bistro, Jamba Juice, and Rafino's. I'm sure that's not why you're here.
Well, no, it has nothing to do with the fact that this is probably the best spread of food in the entire golf course.
Right, exactly. It just happens to be.
And it has nothing to do with the fact that I asked you to come on Friday right before lunchtime at the end of the show.
Nothing.
When you were going to be over here as opposed to the other 2 places you were the last 2 days.
Little deductive reasoning here.
Covering the last few days for the Associated Press. Let's start off with last night, the NFL on Pelicans Warriors, so we can wrap up the show. But as far as your thoughts on what the Saints did, obviously aggressive, move up, go get a pass rusher. We've been circling that as a need for this team for quite a few years since Junior Gillette got the axe. What are your thoughts on what you saw the Saints do and how they went about it last night?
Well, I wasn't surprised at all, and I know you guys weren't either, and I even said on your show a week or 2 ago, I looked at the active roster kind of investment they had, and their third string quarterback who, turned into a special teams guy. But anyway, and that, you don't do that unless you really see something in that guy. And also, I don't know, I know you guys talked about it a little bit, but I think that Sean Payton, he deserves some credit for his disinformation campaign, if he in fact made one.
I don't think he did.
I think he was being honest. His honesty came off as, oh, that's Sean Payton just
smokescreen,
BSing and smokescreen everywhere, and he was genuine with everything.
Well, but there were also all those leaks about the interest that they had in the top overall pick and Lamar
Jackson. Top overall pick.
Yeah,
I didn't hear that.
So
how are they going to get up to number 1 in the draft?
No, they weren't going to. No, not getting the top overall pick, but the quarterback who went number 1.
Oh, how they had interest in Baker Mayfield. Right.
Those aren't leaks. Those aren't leaks. That's real. They like Baker Mayfield.
Right, but I'm saying...
But people hear you like a prospect, and then they take the leap of saying they're going to get him and make all these trades. They're implying something that wasn't leaked.
But what happened is that by saying that they like those quarterbacks, there was this kind of buzz around
you know, and even the national guys, I mean, none of us thought they were ever going to go for a quarterback, but when they traded up, if you were watching the national broadcast, they all started talking about Lamar Jackson.
It was crazy.
And I'm like, what are they talking about? So at the top of the draft, push people down, and that happened again this time, and I think they remembered how it worked out for them last year with offensive players being taken up high and pushing. They would have loved for it to happen again this year, and they were going to say the things that may or may not help that happen.
Brett Martel, the Associated Press, joining us right here on Dunc and Holder. Again, we got a couple. Brett, as far as the price, too high, too low?
The high side in a vacuum, but if you look at how close they already are to contending, and they see this guy as an instinctive playmaker, you know, as raw as he is, and Jeff already made this point, I was listening on the way here about David Onyemata.
Loyal listener, Brett Martel.
He's not as raw as David Onyemata was.
No.
You know, so they must have some faith that he can contribute right away in some form, even if not, you know, as a starter, but he could grow into being a starter just like Teron Armstead grew into being a solid starter at the end of his rookie year. I mean, there's plenty of examples, and that's when they're really going to actually need him anyway to kind of, you know, blossom is at the end of the season when they're in the playoffs and everything's on the line.
No, I don't think there's any doubt about it. I think the value is what it is. I mean, sometimes you have to overpay to get what you want. I don't think there's any problem with that. If you feel like the only way to get what you need is to maybe overpay on a draft pick compensation, who cares? I was alluding to yesterday. Every circumstance is different.
And it's getting what you want when you want it, and they wanted it now because they feel like they have just about everything else in place to contend right now. So that, you know, and it's the timing of it.
In many ways, it's reminded me a little bit of some of the moves that Dell Demps has made with the Pelicans. In other words, they're passing up the building phase to try and win right now. Dell Demps made a trade that was very controversial when he traded a couple draft picks, first-round picks, to get Drew Holiday. At the time, it was very controversial. A lot of people didn't like it. Looking back on it now, I think everybody agrees getting Drew Holiday was much better than getting Nerlens Noel in a very bad draft class. They weren't going to get anybody.
Why is it that you have to dog out a Kentucky guy?
Yeah, just, you know,
stunning.
Making a point.
You're not dogging out Larry Warford anytime soon.
No, but my point is, Larry over here getting a little jab in.
Kidding.
You know what I mean? But you know, sometimes you have to wait to judge some of these moves 2-3 years down the road. You can't just judge it immediately. If Marcus Davenport isn't dominating